everyone, today our group will present you with the subject Greek life and club. I'm Lucy.
I'm who?
And I'm Sarah.
So generally speaking, the first year, so we call it freshman, is the best time to fit in a new environment. The confident high school students, when they apply to university, will suddenly shifted to a nervous freshman. So freshman is there are a lot of freshman jokes actually. And when I search the FB pages, I see a few negative words. So here it is: overconfident, lost, depressed, tired, misguided, and fearless. Either this is true or not. This all points out a big problem that the freshmen are often unsure about what they're going to face in the first year. So what are they going to board them? We are leave our comment to my friend, and she'll introduce something about Greek life.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with some vocabulary and history. Sororities are for women, and fraternities, often abbreviated to frat, are for men. And the whole thing altogether is called Greek life because the organization take their name from Greek letters. So all of those organizations began to form in the mid-19th century. Students were forming their own groups to debate, discuss current events or science, literature. They just wanted to learn about greater topics that what were offered in the classroom, and they wanted to be able to express themselves freely. And those societies, the first one was were Latin Letter Society, like FHC, in the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. Its name was taken from initial of a Latin motto. And inevitably with this kind of groups, the students began to form deeper relationships and depend on each other for more than just an intellectual conversation. At the end of the 19th century, members also made plenty of time to organize parties, dances, sport events, and so on. So the very first Greek letter society was Phi Beta Kappa, also based at the College of William and Mary, and the name of it was again taken from Greek motto. They chose to call their organization in Greek because they wanted to break away from the existing societies. They wanted to bring something new. They wanted something more contemporary. And Greek, it's often known that Greek was in Roman time, the language of science, like Latin was, but in medieval time. So it's really more contemporary. And now you got plenty of Greek letters organization, like Delta Gamma or Delta Delta Delta, and really a lot. And members of the sororities and the fraternities often live together in a big house called the chapter house. And these houses are often located in next to each other in one area called the frat row. And the frat row is really close to the university. So how does it work? At the beginning of the fall semester, people who are interested in joining a sorority or a fraternity do what is called rushing. So you've got rush week at the beginning of the semester, and it's usually freshmen, like you said, the first year, who participate in rush week. They just run around the campus doing activities and interviews to the fraternities or sororities that they want to join. And they usually have a list of few, perhaps like a top 5, and then they're rushing around, like I said, to different fraternities, sororities, and at the end of the rush week, members of the sorority and fraternity, they get together, they do a meeting, and they decide who they are going to offer an invitation to join or a bid. And then they just offer out those bids, and hopefully you got one in your top couple choices. And then that's when you had to make a decision, because you can only go to one sorority or one fraternity. And that's really something to note here, is that fraternities and sororities are like people. they have their own personalities. Not all the sorority and fraternity are the same, and that goes into your consideration of which houses you are going to join. You're picking one that fits you, that fits your personality. But Said is going to talk about all of this just here in this video.
Hello guys, I'm Said and my part of the job is to explain you a sorority by giving you an example of one of them. So let's talk about Delta Delta Delta. Delta Delta Delta, or also known as 3 Delta or 3 Delta, was founded on November 27, 1888 at Boston University. With over 2,100 living initiates, this sorority is one of the largest in the US. Like I said before, this sorority was founded in 1888 by 4 female students at Boston University. These students didn't fit with the sororities at the campus at time. These sororities were Kappa Kappa Gamma, Kappa Phi Beta, and Alpha Phi. One of the students, Sarah Ida Shaw, proposed they organize a small group who will stand apart from the other sororities. And she told to her friend Eleanor Dorcas, "Let us found a society that shall be kind alike to all and think more of girl's inner self and character than of her personal appearance." These 2 girls, Sarah Ida Shaw and her friend Eleanor Dorcas, were joined by 2 other female students who were Florence Stewart and Isabel Morgan, and they founded Delta Delta Delta. Today in the US, Delta 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 is one of the largest sorority. This sorority has a large activity of philanthropy. In the early 1970s, a national survey established that the 3 Delta chapter were interested in children, hospital, and cancer. At the 1974 3 Delta convention, the 3 were combined to support children cancer charities. In the 1999, 3 Delta partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. St. Jude assists 3 Delta in the organization of charity events that benefit the children and subsidize research costs at St. Jude. Many chapters of 3 Delta coordinate fundraising activities such as pancake breakfast or football tailgates in the campuses each year. Since 1999, 3 Delta has raised more than $30 million. In 2002, 3 Delta committed to build a teen room at St. Jude Hospital. In July 2006, the 3 Delta committed to build a new patient treatment floor focusing on brain research, and they succeeded in raising $10.4 million in only 4 years. There are a lot of celebrities in 3 Delta alumni. Among them we have Sarah Fawcett, the famous actress. We have also Sarah Blakely, an entrepreneur who founded Spokes, a company specialized in the women's underwear. And we have also Elizabeth Dole, who was an US senator and a former board member of the Reagan administration. Hey, Sarah, tell me, did you join a sorority?
Okay, thank you. Well, personally, I was not a part of the sorority for different reasons. Even though the friendship and the bonding was really enticing, at the end I just decided it was not for me because, first of all, it was going to cost a lot of money. A lot of money paying the dues to just join the sorority or paying the dues to join the chapter house and also paying a new wardrobe because sororities have those fancy events and they have a really strict dress code. So I will just have to buy a lot of new clothes and it will cost a lot. And besides the money, sororities and fraternities are there's a lot of structure involved. Like even if you don't live in the house, you have to eat a certain amount of time with the others in the house. And when I say you have to, it's like you have to because if you don't, you will get penalized. And as far as activities go, it's the same. You have to do a certain amount of activities and events and parties and things. And of course, that's the point of it. It's to participate in things. So you will want to do that. But for me, just it was too much stricter. I already had classes. I had a job besides, and I'm more of a flexible person. In my free time, I just like to be free. So enough with the Greek life. Now, who is going to talk about clubs? So I just let you go with it.
Yes, besides the Greek life, there also exists some clubs. The clubs are an indispensable part of the university life in the US. And the clubs not only allows the students to get used to the university life quickly, but also just allows them to know some great ones with the same interest, and some of which may even accompany you for a very long time. It is not rare to see like more than hundreds of clubs existing in one single university, and in some states, in some occasions, there may exceed like 1,000. So, and all of these clubs are run by the students themselves, but the school may also offer some help. For example, in Washington University, there exists like 300 clubs there, and each the school will just pay a part of their fees into the club's activities, and each club leader could just apply for it, and each club there, each week they could just use once of the free classroom, which means that they could get to use the classroom for their club activities without paying anything. So something like that. And after all of the clubs will just recruit their membership during the very first month of the new semester. So they're just gathering around, have a party, and the freshmen would get into the party and choose their own interest clubs. And it is just not like the sorority or just fraternity, like Sarah just mentioned before. Once you get into one sorority or fraternity, you get it for your life, right? But the clubs, you could just enter in and quit in whenever you want, and you could just get into like 100 clubs if you can. Like, of course, you need to adapt your study life, right? So it is not likely for you to choose 100, but you could choose as just as more as you want, okay? But without just any heavy payment for that. But even if you don't just find interested clubs, you could create one, because there is a very loose rules for the students in one to create one. Yes, to create one club. There only needs two people in one same interest to create a club. So because of this free environment, there exists a lot of interesting clubs. For example, the squirrel clubs in the Michigan University. It is just for the student to observe or feed the squirrels in the Sunday of each week. So this idea was firstly come out of the late night conversation during the dormitory of John Scott, I think, or Jason Coleman and Justin Heard in 2002, and in the same October they just formed this club with 100 attendants. After like 2 years, like in 2004, the membership of this club has just reached to 400. Can you imagine that? 400 people in the club just for watching the squirrels in the university. I can't imagine that in China. But
China doesn't have any squirrels.
yes,
First of all.
Yeah.
Japan doesn't have. This is
Yes,
sad.
and-
I love these lovely creatures. It's always comforting and reassuring. Every time you feel stressed out, you just watch them walking around campus, and they're sometimes, if you're lucky, they are asking for food.
yeah, that's so cute.
True.
And there's another example. The people watching club in the state of in the University of Minnesota. It is just for people to just sit in the couch like the couch outside and watch people behave in their own ways. It was just like a stalker. Don't you feel a little bit weird to see someone just sitting there watching you doing anything that you're doing? But they would also just form some very interesting activities like per month. For example, they would just raised an activity for their members to knock out for the doors of the residents in Minnesota to ask for a cup of water for drink, and they applies this same activity in the state of Wisconsin. How to say it? Wisconsin, yes,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. And after they did their activities, they just have a conversation about it and draw a conclusion. For example, they just made an experiment to prove that the people who is playing with their phone or listening to their own iPad is not because their children need that. It is because they feel uncomfortable when they're being alone. So there's some very active part of their activities, right? And for besides this club also bears the responsibility to like audit the other clubs, like observing their activities and get the result to school to let the school decide whether or not give their activity fees. Yes.
Okay. So thank you for whose introduction. I will cite a French word, Shagang Songgu. That's why we have so many clubs, and that's why the freshmen very often, like me, wearing a sweaters, wearing a lanyards. There are a lot of juniors, and they organize. The leader of all those organizations, they are trying to send in leaflets, brochures, and flyers incessantly, and this can be very annoying. But what I'm going to talk about is club. But first, I need to know what's the difference between Greek life and clubs. There's actually a huge difference. I would say that Greek life is more about a place for social connections. There are a lot of party and less drinking and looking good. As Sarah just said, you spend a lot of money on your clothing because this is kind of a symbol. And you have to be very philanthropy to take part in charities groups and doing a lot of good for the society. And that's where perhaps the place where you can meet a lot of people and building connections for a future career, etc. But as I said, it's very time consuming and it requires you a lot of money. Let's tell you a joke. There's this conversation between two girls, and the girl one asked the girl two, "Why did you drop your sorority?" And girl two replied, "I spent all my money on cocaine and I couldn't afford it anymore." So this is not that typical, but it also tells us how crazy this Greek life can be.
Maybe try marijuana.
Yeah, sadly, there's nothing like this in China. So my introduction is all based on interview of my friend. So here's a few. So I choose a club. The club I'm choosing, there were about 40 people in California or Berkeley, and although this is not that good as all those consulting clubs and clubs for specific major like philosophy clubs, I think for me there are there are a lot of sense in these clubs. The name of the club is called Human of Berkeley, and this is based on project of Human of New York. And if you ever saw those comments on every pages, you will know they are interviewing people, whatever their social class, whatever where they're from, or yeah, they're they'll conduct some interviews and they will walk on the streets to those poor people, to students, to children, maybe to nobody, and choose the most interesting part of their interviewing and post it online. So what my friends do is being part of this group, and they interview the people around their campus every semester, every month. I mean, and there are some interesting comments, and I'll pick some for you. So always start some with relaxing one. A street vendor. I saw an image. There was a street vendor near the university town, dressed in a typically oversized jacket, and is a little bulky for him. And he smiled to the camera and said, I always tell the ladies to pick up the food like they're doing for men, because although the ugly they are, the sweeter they're going to be. Yeah, it's a life. It's a kind of a suggestion that do not judging people from their appearance. And also, there are some social issues too. We know that freshman or university life can be really stressed out, and sometimes that there are some reason behind that, because we know the underneath problem of the allocation of education resources in America and even in China. In France, I know this is the same question. Some people went to the public school, and some people get tutors and go to private school, so they are faster adapted than your peers. So here's a girl said, in high school, I hated my first semester, especially walking into a computer science building where there was nobody that looked like me. So everyone looked down on me. I compared myself always to my roommate, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't do until I realized that we are completely different person. We came from different worlds, different types of communities, and it's just too late to adapt to this. But right now, I'm kind of used to this. Just this life, but still, I have to fight for my family, for my life, and try to catch people as most as possible. So this is a sad conversation, and I think this quite influential for governments to focus on the fundraising for public schools and for those poor people, and offer more opportunities to students without many resources. Yeah, and there's some cheering comment too. Like this, in high school, I always try to please everyone around me. And college teaches me that you have to make yourself happy, and making yourself should come first. And that's exactly what we are doing. We are choosing clubs to meet people. Clubs are essentially based on interest. Unlike Greek life, there are maybe not that much benefit as Greek life, but they are purely based on interest. And like my friend said, you can drop out whenever you want. Also, for the final example, I picked some serious one, actually final two. One is about the minorities in our society, some relating to the Muslims. A Muslim girl in the image, she dressed in whole black and she covered her face with only a pair of eyes, looked in the camera and said, I heard that some female Muslim students were attacked near campus. This is quite shocking. We read the media every day that there's only terrorists about Muslim, but actually Muslim people are also a target for for attacking, and their hijabs were grabbed. It really scares me. It really scares me. I don't want to go certain spaces because of my hijab. It's reached a point where I have to accept the situation, and I don't know if that's right or wrong. Islamic is so embedded in the society we live in. I feel hopeless always. Yeah, this kind of reminds us that you should look questions in a different view. Finally, there's a black woman in this image, and she completely with no expressions, not even smiling or any cheering or any lightning in his eyes, and she just said, "I identify with myself many intersections, black, being a woman, being queer, coming to Berkeley, I started to explore what it meant to be part of all these intersections. Sometimes I still feel I have to choose. I still feel like I have to choose. I feel like I'm focusing more on my queerness. I'm ignoring my blackness, and vice versa. A lot of time I feel like that I shouldn't because they are all parts of me. So she's trying to tell us the conflicting about her role in the society, because it's hard to imagine all these elements focusing on one person being black, being like all this minority. It's hard to choose. Sometimes you are stand out simply for a small group, but you forget yourself that you are also a woman and you have to make some voice for black too. It's a conflict question. So anyway, I want to say that what are your interests, either who are you or where are you from doesn't important, and the clubs in the university doesn't need to like force people to read their leaflets. It's completely unnecessary. If as university students want to build connections, they will go to Greek life, and if they want to simply make friends and like developing their interests, they will always find someone in a university, and they can create someone if they want. So stop doing some marketing and selling tricks, and they will eventually come to you. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.